Listening in. I'm talking a little bit about personal finance things this morning. And if you'd like to reach me directly, call me or text me at 737-234-0196, or here in the studio. I'll be here for a little while after the bottom of the hour. But personal finance is money is very emotional. And a lot of people don't realize this. First off, when they come to see me, and I get to know them a little bit, I start asking questions, and we kind of dive into it. And oftentimes I hear, "Wow, this is more like therapy. I had no idea that
Hmm.
we would go to this depth this quickly." And for a lot of people, it's very revealing, and people smile and they laugh and they cry. I see all sorts of things, but what I want to talk about now is a young lady I met. She's in Florida, and I meet a lot of my clients by Zoom. She's in Florida. She's been married for 10 years, and she and her husband, they bring home about $10,000 a month. They're trying to figure out what to do with our money. We feel disorganized. We want to get ahead. Most people want to get ahead, and so we're just talking mechanics of their money. And for 10 years, they've kept separate accounts. And for a lot of people, separate accounts are the norm. This is how they come into their marriage. They have, because they're living independent lives. She has an account, he has an account, and for some people, they never think to join
And see, that's
forces.
just foreign to me.
I know. You're making kids together, or you have kids together, whatever. It's they're your kids. It's not his kid and her kid. It's your house. It's not, well, this half of the house is mine and
Right.
this half of the house is yours. It's your bed. You're sleeping in your master bedroom together. It's your money.
Yes,
Whether you're
yes,
both
yes.
working or not, one person's working, the other isn't, it's your money. And so they have been keeping everything separate. I found this out. I said, well, tell me what you're doing with your money. How do you do things? Well, this week, on this particular week, my husband pays these utility bills, buys the groceries, pays the cable, and the internet bill. And then I pay, the car payment from my account, and some other things. I don't remember what they were. And then we switch. Next week I'm paying this out of my income, blah blah blah. And so I'm listening to this, and I said, doesn't that isn't that kind of complicated? Yeah, it just, there's got to be an easier way. And I said, well, have you ever thought about joining all your money into one account? And she, you know, the lights went on her face. She's, oh, no, never. We've never done that. Oh, we could maybe do that. And I said,
But so many people are so piggy about that. No.
well, yes, because money is, again, very emotional.
Yes.
When you get married, so there's the wife, there's the husband, you've been independent adults, you've got all your money stuff that you've been doing, paying your bills, being a, productive citizen, taking care of yourself and whatnot. You've been doing things your way with your money, credit cards, cash, whatever the situation is. And you also have your influences from your parents
Hmm.
growing up in your household. You may not have been dealing with money issues, but maybe money talk in your household was a tense situation. It was never pleasant. And you unconsciously, you've absorbed that. And your parents, they came from their background. You have generations of money stuff built into you in the present day. And there's your spouse, same stuff. He's got his things that he's been doing with his money. Maybe he's a freewheeler, spending all the time. Maybe he's got parents that have been financing him. Oh,
Hmm.
son, you run out of money, how much do you need? So he's never really felt the pinch or the stress or the having to really work to get a paycheck. Even though he's working, he's got the bank of mom and dad to back him up.
Right,
It
right,
reminds
right.
me of a story I heard. It sounds unrelated, but I'll
Okay,
tell
yeah.
you. Um, Man and wife cooking supper. She takes a roast, cuts the end off the roast, puts it in a pan, cooks it. He says, "Why you cut the end off the roast?" He says, "I don't know. It's the way Mom always did it." So she goes back and asks her mom, "Why you cut the end off the roast?" She said, "I don't know. It's the way my mom always did it." So she went to grandma and said, "Why you cut the end off the roast?" She said, "The pan was too small."
Yes,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
Yes.
So the point is, people do things because that's the way they've done it.
That's the way they've
Because
done
that's
it.
the way Dad did it. Because
Hmm.
that's the way Grandpa did it. So I'm doing it.
So I'm doing
It
it.
may,
Yep.
may not make any financial sense whatsoever,
Exactly.
but I'm doing it because that's what I've always done.
Sure, and
Exactly.
there are people who have never known the we have to be careful till the end of the month.
Yes.
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 That's not a crisis.
Right.
That is not a crisis. We've been married for over 25 years, and sometimes my wife will say, "Hey, be careful for the next week."
Hmm.
I say, "Okay." You know what that means to me? Buy what you need to buy at the store, but don't stock up on anything.
Don't, yes, no extra spending
No extra
that's
spending.
not needed.
That's
Right.
all. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean don't put gas in your truck, and it
Right.
doesn't mean don't buy milk, eggs, and bread.
Right. It's no extra ammo that you don't
Exactly
need.
right.
Yes. No extra guns.
Yeah,
Hold, hold
but
on
you
now.
know,
Hold on. You're getting personal now.
I
See,
know.
see, there it
Now
comes.
I feel
Now, wait a minute
attacked.
now.
But
Now
Yes.
you're talking to
seriously,
me.
Right.
in my house, guns and ammo are no part of our budget. That's part of my discretionary money.
There you go.
You know,
Yes.
and everybody needs discretionary money,
Yes.
Christine. You got to have a couple of bucks walking around in your
Yes.
pocket.
It's like a cheat
Yes.
day on a diet. You got to have a little bit sometime.
Yes,
Right.
and I talk about that because there is, we should have, should, air quote, have some money that we get to do with whatever we want. If
Mm-hmm.
that's, buying ammo, buying more mascara or lipstick, or whatever, without having to be held accountable by our spouse. Like, hey, you spent all this money on thus and so this month. Nope, this is your discretionary money. Now, sometimes there is no discretionary money, and everyone has to
Yes,
commit to, we're keeping to the
we're going
basics.
to do this together.
We're going to do this
But that's a
together.
good thing too.
It can be, yes,
Yes.
if you are mature as a person, if you're grounded in who you are, absolutely these things can be very beneficial. And many people have commented to me when they come to me, couples, they're not necessarily fighting, but there's stress about
Yes.
money situations. And we dive into this, and I've often had some very nice compliments. Wow, you saved our marriage. Now
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about this. And that's such a, like, wow, I didn't do it. They did the work. Honestly, they were talking and communicating. I
But the
guided them.
but the moral of the story is everybody's got to be ready to modify their position from time to time.
Yes.
When my
Yes.
wife was working as a senior bank official, and I was working in manufacturing full time, we were knocking down some serious cash, and I always kept three, four, $500 in my pocket because the guys at work knew me as the gun guy.
Ah, yes.
So a guy
Okay.
would come up to me, and he'd say, "Hey, what's a 9 millimeter worth?" I'd say, "What's a Chevy worth?" He'd say, "Well, it depends." I said,
Depends, right? It
"Yeah,
depends.
but show me what you got. I'll tell you what I can do for you." And I'd buy guns, sell guns at work, outside of work, uh, and make a little side money. And I
Yep.
enjoyed doing that.
Yep.
But now that I'm retired and now that my wife has taken a less stressful position, um, I got $100 in my wallet, but I ain't rolling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm real happy like that.
And being content with what you have is also part of
Oh gosh,
what we're
yes.
talking about, being content with what you have. And
Maturity comes in there somewhere.
maturity, hopefully, yes, it does. And so we get into what's behind all this. So I want to wrap up here with some thoughtful questions. Audience, if you can replay this later this evening with your spouse, here's a question for you. And we might bleed over into the next section as well,
Yes,
because these are actually, I'm going to hold off. If we can bleed over into the next section,
of
is that
course.
all
We
right?
will
Of
come back
Yes.
course,
and
we will hit it fresh.
There we
come back
go.
right after this. But before we go to a break,